We got a coupon, so it's fine. All right, mi gente, welcome to another episode of La Esquina. I am your host, Hakeem, Rebel Poet Coreano, El Nene Chulo de Mili, ya tú sabes. And I got some dope features for you this evening. I want to say shout out to my Topaz babies, my Autumn babies. Títere Poets are in the building. You know, Bronx is in the building this evening. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to get into it. So I'm going to bring up to the virtual stage someone who this will be their first time performing. His name is Warren Eckert. Welcome, Warren Eckert, to the stage. Bronx.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening. This is it's a short poem, and I think it's under the 3 minutes we talked about. Usually the poetry I do is with musicians. And of course, since this pandemic, I haven't been out with musicians. And it's always whoever happens to be present. So as you had mentioned, saxophone, piano, cello, guitar, bass, drums, whatever is there, I asked the musicians to respond through their instrument to what they are hearing. And sometimes it's magic. And even when it isn't, it's better than no music at all. So that's the usual way. And I've never done it this way, which is without the music and without the collaboration, as it would be all of you providing some kind of background, some kind of response as we proceed. But anyway, I don't think Zoom works like that. I think it would be a technical mumble jumble. But anyway. You never loved me. You never did. That's not your fault, but mine. Pressing you with sweet nothings that knew they were everything to me and nothing to you. Should I be sorry for trying? Having done what you expected me to do? My good for you, the idol. My good for you, the goddess. And yet I'm sorry. Sorry is not enough, but it will have to do. And this is my fix on reality. And once it was your fix too. I'm no Adonis, and you, no diva. I'm not King David, nor you, Bathsheba. No one mistakes me for Joseph, nor you for the Virgin Mary. We're too plain, too old, too lost for all of that. The burden we share is just enough to be poor replicas of you and me. Yes, poor replicas of you and me.
Yes.
Thank you.
Give it up for Warren, ladies and gentlemen.
Yo, right quick. Warren, as you were performing, I was doing a beat. Kind of like this.
That's right. Whatever the contribution is, it's right.
It actually worked
Yeah.
really well. So you should try asking people on their end, not sharing it, but on their end, just creating sounds to the beat of what you're writing. Because I had a whole experience on my end.
But if we do it on Zoom, it will all crack up, right?
Right. So that's why I muted myself.
So yeah,
So for me, I was doing the sound.
yeah,
Right. So I was having an experience, but you're totally right. If I was trying to share it, the sound wouldn't have lined up. But you can ask people to mute themselves and make their own sound to the beat
yeah,
of the words. It's quite beautiful.
yeah. Well, thank you very much.
So my people, I was a bit premature. I did want to share a poem upon entering. However, I will share it now. For Lela, half blue feet first, she battled into the world, hardly surviving the blood cord twice wrapped, tense around her neck, hanging, womb pressing, pushing, pulling life from mother's child, fragile flesh emerging perfect in blueness, like the lifeline that sustained her, yet limp, almost a corpse. Her mother claims the Virgin interceded, invoked through divine promise in prayer that caused her dark eyes to open, her tongue to taste air like fire as the blueness faded, tracing death on the tail of eclipse. And as in birth, from her darkness, the free giving sun inched slowly to visibility, revealing all color and form, a great teacher, generous and awesome, silent and reverent, loud and blasphemous, constant, sculpting edges of definition in the shadow of light of multiple universes, half blue, feet first, she battled her way. The world did not want another brown, another slant eye, olive, Indian black child, did not want another rainbow, empowered song added to repertoire in blue or azure or indigo or Caribbean crystal, did not want another mouth to feed, especially another rock the boat poet, another voice open wide, fixed on the global spectrum of defiance. The meaning of war defined her, gasping and innocent before she knew her mother, before she discovered herself barely alive, gathering weapons into her being, each breath that filled her, growing stronger, determined to beat all the odds. Sandra Maria Esteves. Thank you all for being here. It is an honor and a pleasure to be your host. If you are here, it's because you're supposed to be here. I would like to, if he's ready, bring up a dope poet, an artist, a rapper, for all clarity. Here's my son, King Cal. Are you ready? Are you in the building?
Okay, so I am in the building. Hello, everybody. And I just want to say a little delay on the snaps because that was great. Kind of lost me through the middle, but it was good. I'm at my friend's house. That's why I wasn't really on the camera or the mic before, but my poem is actually on my phone. I did this with my family. We were in a family meeting and we were all making little poems and stuff like that. So yeah. This one, I didn't even have a name for it, but it goes like this. My heart beats more times than I can count. It gives me the ability to climb a mountain. The springtime reminds me of fountains because waterfalls. and you can't stop it from making the soothing sounds. Even water droplets do the same. A rhythm that can bottle up and take away the pain. I'm not feeling, I'm experiencing, and I'm not dealing, I'm experimenting. Serving up notes makes my body quake, and then I farted. It was cool and amazing. I was a fool and I was anxious, so I let it rip. Like my Beyblade elementary school days, music that we don't like to hear. Every noise is music in our ear. For me, it travels to my heart. Me and it cannot be apart. If I'm honest, there is one beat that's all above, and I think that beat is what we call deep love. And yeah, that's what I got. So thank you all.
Dope, dope, dope. Give it up for King Cal, everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing. That was deep. And moving right along, next to the virtual stage. Kind of want to hear a feminine aspect. Violeta. Everybody, give it up for Violeta.
Thanks. Great to be here again. I was just gonna ask, it's one poem, right? Okay, cool. So let me see which
How
one.
long is it? Is it long? Is it short?
It's 2 pages.
Yeah, that's long.
Okay, you rebel poet, you inspired me, so I'm gonna read The Life of Nancy. I carry a dead body across to the other side. Her yellow hair hangs like her life on a thin thread. The road glitters. The broken shards of glass cover the scattered bodies. Human vultures hunkering down toward the trailer, hopping around the smashed remains of skulls and hair, limbs, blood, puddles gathering the grains, beans, potato sacks ripped from the bowels of the trucks. I watch the news from another country, squinting to see beyond the blurry video, her beautiful body slumped on the pavement like another sack of rice. Nobody carries her to the grave. Nobody notices her yellow hair, the gait she had as she walked, the most dangerous ghettos in the city, the blonde girl in the brown neighborhood, defying death at 3 a.m., fucking coke-stuffed actors, drunken buffs in the downtown area, just to prove beauty was immortal. Unscathed, she crossed the borders between life and death. Thank you.
Dope, dope, dope. Everybody give it up for Violeta. So, now I'm gonna bring up one of my favorite poets, just his energy. I love it. Up to the virtual stage next. Everybody give it up for Thomas Fukaloro.
Right. Good evening. I know we'll all, during this pandemic, we're all making like very small goals for ourselves, or at least I am. So that's where this poem comes from. Saturday, I will wear pants. It's hooray to life that celebrates autumn, that celebrates fading. Oh, yes. Saturday, I will wear pants. And I'm so excited about this prospect, feeling the need to adapt. I will bask in the lumber all around me as I will not allow myself to stay indoors and not dress up for the trees. Oh, yes. Saturday, I will wear pants, and I don't care who knows it. I will wear and walk and swoosh. I will become one with the around me. I will not just quiver in my boxers as I stay indoors, and the around me becomes these walls. Yes, yes, Saturday, I will wear pants. Thanks. And just so you know, I know it's Friday. It's Friday, or is it Saturday? I don't even remember. All right, good. Yeah, forget it. It is Saturday. Good. I have nothing to say after that. Have a great night.
Yes, give it up for Thomas, everybody. The incomparable. D-Bird, ponte los pantalones, chico. Está pasando. Love it. So, my sister's in the building. I am excited to have her in on this month because just her energy, her vibe is just amazing. I want to bring up next to the virtual stage, Sauda.
Hey y'all. I'm not a poet. I'm an actor who's beginning to write, and I have my own show that I'm working on. So this is a piece that I've been toying with over the past couple of months. It's a bit messy, but just hang with me. I'll make it fun at least. Crying. I was told you don't seem like a crier. To even hear that made me want to cry. My response, I actually cry a lot, alone in corners, masked, while moving swiftly to catch a train. I cried a lot as a kid. I was quite aware that it was all going to go or end or stop. What exactly was ending or going or stopping, I had no idea, but I knew ends were a constant. School days, meals, friendships, marriages. It's not that I was some wonderkin. I was far from that. Sauda, as an adult, might say, I was a kind of self-aware weirdo as a kid. I think mommy could sense it. I was asked by her to retell tales of my day and how I felt about people and situations, to never be afraid to approach things and questions. So once you see patterns in all those different ways of taking in the world, you see how things wrap around, then end, and around, then end, again, and again, and again. The only thing that mattered is if the ending went well or not, because it was going to end. My second elementary school out of 4 I attended, or my favorite cookies that my mommy's boyfriend made a point to eat all of all the time. My friend Pam, who tried to be my protector from the bullies, eventually she even cycled out. So my mother encouraged individuality, but still wanted me to live in a traditional container. It was one of the biggest inconsistencies of my adolescence. In my movements growing up, I felt like saying, Mommy, you can't have it both ways. But the one thing that was done spectacularly well by her was her philosophy on kids' feelings, acknowledgement of children as little people, and said little folks being able to express themselves, tears and all. So tears were not a bad thing in my house until I was growing up and dealing with my peers. The little assholes, as I like to call them now. I was like a magnet for them. It didn't help that I had the strangest name, 2 little Afro puffs, glasses, my ever constant clunky orthopedic shoes, and was skinny as a beanpole. One day I was playing with my mom's friend's kid, a rousing game of doctor. She popped in to check on us. She scooped me up and out the door because she could feel that it was about to get crazy and I had stopped speaking for an hour. Beat change. As a kid, when really terrorized, I wouldn't talk, just not speak at all. Not for days or anything like that, just a long clip of time. That's when she knew I was being terrorized somewhere. That's when her psychology perspective was spot on and useful. One day, the kids in my neighborhood sent out their little cousins and sisters and brothers to jump me for fun. After going home in tears, my mother had had enough. All the new age psychology and understanding finally strained her. She's been my advocate every time, but I could feel the shift in her. This time, she dug down to her Southern roots and gave me a famous Black Mama speech that motivates Black children across the world. Oh, this is it, Sauda. You go out and whip their ass, because if you don't, I will whip yours. I slung 6 and 7-year-olds like they were pizza dough. Though beaten up, it didn't hurt nearly as much as my pride. Here I was again, the laughing stock of my peers. So, yeah, tears were and are my friend. The salty sensation at the back of my throat that sting my sinuses. But as an adult, it's not always allowed to be seen in public. For me, tears stay right under the skin. Memories that swish around between the pores and gaps that make this skin bag a body. I'm often stalled between how I should use all this memory as a growth experience and how it has damaged me, and where the balance is between the two. So, while I search for meaning and understanding and balance, I just quietly weep on walks to the subway and moments in the shower, at Old Sesame Street skits, when I decide to visit my house growing up in my mind, as I mentally walk from room to room. I cry wondering if I chose the correct career path. And sometimes I simply fucking cry uncontrollably, because it's just not cool to cry as an adult as much anymore. So yeah, y'all, I cry and probably will continue to do so. Maybe that is the solution for the balance. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing your I could totally see that in a short film on Netflix. Just saying. Or Hulu. Yes. Speak it into existence, right? Nice. So, mi gente, November. Wait, give me a second. So November is Puerto Rican Heritage Month. However, if you are Boricua and you rep every day of the year, you carry it with you. So I want to bring up my brother, a títere poet, a head títere in charge, Señor Mario Jose Pagan Morales, next to the virtual stage.
Primeramente, buenas noches. I just want to take a second and give a shout out to our sister Isa Guzman, who without we can't do this, because she be on point and she be keeping us in line, because we are technically challenged. When I host, it's a wreck. If you've been at my open mic when I'm hosting, I am completely lost. And without her, she really does a really amazing job. She's very patient. I don't know how she hasn't told us to go fuck ourselves and learn, technology, but I just wanted to give a shout out to her. Also, I remember being really young in poetry, and Keith Roach, who was a dear mentor of mine, said, do the work. And that's what we do. We do the work, I remember running up to him and be like, yo, when can I feature? I need to do this. I need to do that. And he just looked at me. He goes, forget about all of that. Just do the work and all that stuff will come naturally. And I'm just saying that because Sauda has been a friend of mine for years. She's my sister. I love her to death. And I'm really proud of her. Definitely check her out when she does her one woman show, which I've seen already. And she continues does the work just like all of us. So with that being said, oh shit, it's Thomas Fucularo. Shout out to him too. And shout out to the Bronx. Thank you guys for and ladies for coming by and spending time with us this evening. So talking about the Bronx, I was raised in the Bronx, and I wrote a piece about the block I lived on. So I grew up on 180th and Arthur Avenue off East Tremont. So this is called 180th and Arthur Avenue. Donde quiera te espera. The worst thing about mi bloque was that it was siempre a boiling kettle, imploding gravitational everything. Lives could not escape the addiction of todito, todito, light suffocated there. Always a batalla field of Juanitos y Pedritos wearing full metal jackets, blue, red, orange, green, and yellow caps scattered the playground of PS 118. Across the street from my window, you can taste the rainbow. We picked up the pieces of broken familias, of vecinos y kids who just couldn't let go while sonambulos walked como espantapájaros in circles, soot pipes drooping como tightrope daredevils from limbs, y mantecosos barely hanging on by invisible limbs, looking for a hit para olvidar las penas porque no había work y la educación was second class y la policía gave two shits that el barrio was rottening y BCW was always in our building buscando the forgotten. We wish things could have been different to lift ourselves up from el fango. Here, there is no pot of gold at the end of our rainbow, only welfare checks, powdered milk, y queso de papa. Peace.
Yes, yes. Give it up for El Señor Mario José Pagan Morales.
Títere, títere.
Hey, I see Thomas Connor coming in. Unmute yourself, sir. You're actually on here twice. I'm not sure. Give me a second.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
All right, let me shut down. There
There you
we
go.
go. Here we go. What's up, fellas?
What's going on?
Sorry about that. Had
That's
some
fine.
technical difficulties earlier.
It happens to all of us.
Yes.
You
Yeah,
got
no doubt. So I apologize.
You want to spit?
What's up?
You got something?
Yeah, I was gonna spit something on right now. Little something.
All right, go.
Yeah, no doubt. Space, race, and mobility. Depending on your shade, a simple act like travel can breed uncertainty and instability. These roads, broad and built for droves, the shade of your hue could determine how your trip could go. You see, freedom is natural and unrestricted and ample. Travel the wrong way, it could be your last day. Or blasting your music or dress some type of way. Death by officer because he didn't like what you had to say. Constricting if your shades these days are dark. Limiting are these spaces, the fragility of mobility, like Mississippi on a 1959 night. Death by cop, like death by KKK. Shit, what can I say? The hate these days be real and hard as steel.
Dope. Give it up for Thomas Connor, everybody.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, this brother always shows up. Thank you, brother, for coming through. I appreciate you.
Peace. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you. Peace to all.
Next to the stage, everybody, I want to bring up otro sinvergüenza. Nah, I'm playing. Another títere. Everybody, welcome to the virtual stage. D Bird.
Bird, we can't hear you.
So to do your thing.
Yeah, he knows. He knows. He's fucking around.
Okay.
Okay, how about now? Okay, now you can hear me. Okay. Mario, were you screwing with me earlier?
No, we couldn't hear
You're
you.
just telling me you couldn't hear me for no reason.
Dude, we couldn't hear you.
Okay, you know what? You know what? You know what? You know what? I trust you. I trust you. That's why I'm gonna let this go. Because again, my name is Daniel Jose Gatambide Nunez Arriaga Costa Suarez Ceja Bird. And I'm going to share with you tonight a piece entitled Essential Cures. What is the cure for a broken heart? Warm, keen eyes, steady hands, a scalpel, empathy, emergency room on speed dial, reparations. What is the cure for a lost soul? A stethoscope, open heartbeat, free speech, validation, emergency room on speed dial, consent, reparations. What is the cure for grief? Emergency room on speed dial, sitting with you on the call till the end of time, space, silence. Holding your hand with my words, sphygmomanometer, reparations. What is the cure for hopelessness? You, me, community, a phone call, Zoom call, carrier pigeon, smoke signal, email, snail mail, telegraph, Morse code, Brady Bunch screens, and a thermometer. Emergency room on speed dial, reparations. Man, it's really good whiskey. What is the cure for COVID-19? Universal basic income, reparations. Tax the rich, universal health care, reparations, infrastructure, Green New Deal, immigration reform, reparations, repair nations, essential worker bill of rights, recognition. A hug, love, reparations, repair nations, repair a nation, police reform, reproductive rights, police defunding, housing for all, police abolition, trans rights is reparations, repair nations, repair a nation, re-agitation, universal education, gun control, fair wages, rent control, rent freeze is the police erase from our vocabulary. Free Puerto Rico, redundancy, not an adverb, reverberations with our ancestor, heartbeats on drum beats, tupa, 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 playing, reparations, repair our nation, re-agitation, redemption, restoration, resolution, revolution, custodial staff keeping things together. Stethoscope, sway on the run, food on the run, thermometer shaken, not stirred. And I don't know what the fuck a sphygmomanometer is. I can barely pronounce it, but I just did because I practiced 500 times in front of a mirror before this show today. You see, white people, you too can learn to pronounce my name in less than 500 years. Just donate buckets of money to me in exchange for a free child. But back to sphygmomanometers, I think it takes your blood pressure rising, generations of nurses, doctors, psychologists, PAs, social workers, janitors, psychiatrists, red, white, black, and brown, and always emergency room on speed dial. Thank you.
Yes,
That
everybody.
was fantastic.
Say that again.
Nothing. That was amazing. That was great. That was amazing wordplay. That was fantastic.
Give it up for D-Bird, everybody. Yes, thank you, my brother. So before I bring my features up, I would like to spit a piece. I think it segues well. Awaken to mandatory sabbatical, guaranteed obituary, Virus came like ships to colonize, security, invasion. In Spanish, corona means crown. Like Charles I of Spain, this is not a game. Slowly going insane. State of emergency never ending. Coño, man. Didn't they know this would happen before it happened? It was all apocalypse until the numbers came out. Black and brown disproportionately affected. Que cojones? I say weaponized prayer got us all on our knees. Where is this heading? Where have we been? Bush era warrantless wiretaps is 9/11 Patriot Act. Fear is pandemic, isolation, no solutions, national shutdown, quarantine, mandatory vaccines, un cabrón que no sabe un carajo, death toll rising, people showing their ass out here, no tengo trabajo, rent been past due, to eat, I'ma do what I got to, don't sleep, how? They expect us to survive in the wreckage, navigate the naysayers, I get it. We can't forget that our rights have been sacrificed for perceived security. They cannot keep us safe and we know it. The virus came like cross to propagate fear across the globe. Indigenous still at the bottom of America's totem pole. Wealth placed above human souls. Columbus mentality is control. What have you done in this sabbatical? How have you grown? In the eye of the storm, there is no new norm. It is what it's always been, us against them. Look first within. We've been here before. In Spanish, corona means wreath for the dead. In this mandatory sabbatical, guaranteed obituary, if we sleep now, who will be crowned next? Thank you, mi gente. So I am so excited. I can't wait. It's like waiting for the fireworks. I would like to bring on my first feature of the evening to the virtual stage. But before I do that, I would like to do this properly. Sergio Jimenez has been a teaching artist for Urban Word NYC. Shout out to Urban Word, Cooper Union, City Law, Project X. Shout out to Project X, everybody. Dream Yard. What up, Dream Yard? And a variety of public and private schools across the country. With the discipline in poetry, performance, and visual arts, Sergio has featured in theaters such as the Apollo, the Miss, and the Snapple Theater. He has also competed in a variety of locations across the country, such as Virginia, Chicago, Texas, and Boston. Sergio has appeared teaching on Telemundo and New York One News. He is currently working on a book entitled 1001 Prompts, and his first chapbook entitled Church Boy Cries Wolf. Yo, that's a dope book name. Sergio continues to teach and perform across the city while hosting his weekly open mic, The Stage Box. I'm gonna have to check that out. And is featured in the documentary directed by Teresa Castillo from the Bronx Documentary Center, narrating his personal life, staying close to home as a father and poet and growing individual. Enough respect to you, my brother. Mi gente, my people. welcome to the virtual stage, Sergio Jimenez.
How's it going, everybody? Rebel Poet, thank you so much. I guess I need to create like a quarantine biography, because that I was like, well, I'm not doing the open mic anymore, and I was like looking over there like, wow, there's some things that the quarantine has definitely changed up for me. But thank you so much. I haven't been sharing so much. So when Rebel Poet sent me the invitation, I was honored and grateful to accept it and jump on. So thank you for having me. I got a few poems I'm gonna share with y'all. I think it was Senor Mario Jose who shared a poem about their neighborhood 180th and author. I was just in a workshop recently talking about turning the places we're from into history. So I'm open with this small poem about Gun Hill Road, which is Uptown Bronx. Gun Hill Road, 1776. Americans roll a cannon above the hill. By the way, I have my little ones here, so welcome to my home. Okay, Papa, you gotta wait, okay? Yeah. So Gun Hill Road, 1776. Americans roll a cannon above the hill. Come. Hi. Americans roll a cannon above the hill. You gotta wait, Papa. Daddy's reading. Go ahead, watch me, okay? You gotta finish up. Americans roll a cannon above the. Oh, Logan, do you want to read this poem for me?
Yeah.
No, you can't read this poem for me.
No,
Give me 1 second. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, the babies run the show. Babies run the show. It's a group piece, I'm gonna start over. Gun Hill Road, 1776. All right, so the Americans rolled a cannon above the hill, and they shot at the British, claimed victory over the battlefield. That's why Gun Hill Road is named Gun Hill Road. Nowadays, civil war against rivals does not lead to renaming streets, only tombstones and inmate numbers and police reports. Gun Hill Road could be mother grabs child like a football avenue, or little brother seeks justice for White Chalk Boulevard, or black man outruns the sirens lane. But hey, at least we beat the British. And that was that on the naming of our streets. Yeah, so I always wondered why Gun Hill Road was named that. And then I was around the hospital near 210, and there was a sign that shared the history of Gun Hill Road. And I was like, wow, there you go, 1776. So I'm gonna start off light and then gradually build up a momentum. I didn't want to start off too emotional. So I'm gonna do the second poem called Family Boat. My mother was 5 years old. They cut down the family tree, used the wood to build a boat, used that boat to bring her here. Yes, Papa. And now I have to prove to her that her sacrifices were enough. Show her I can plant her tree on this American soil. So my mother came here from Puerto Rico when she was 5. My mother raised 4 men, and we still fit in her boat. America tries to sink us, tries to convince us there is no boat. But at a young age, I learned that America doesn't want us to smell the roses. It wants to grab us by the thorns and call it pretty, call it mi casa, call it stepmother. My son's having a karaoke moment. Welcome to my house. Welcome to my home. Welcome in. America wants us to call it stepmother. My mother came here to run from a sinking boat. Her old house in Puerto Rico was filled with broken branches. My mother was an orphan at 13, and the family tree back home forgot to count all their leaves, forgot to count the ones that leave to America. Is that why America calls it fall? America is where all the leaves fall? I will grow my mother's tree on this American soil. Show her that I won't let this boat sink. And if I do, I can grow a new tree, build a new boat, make sure America doesn't forget the space we take in this garden, make sure America doesn't throw dirt on my family name. I wonder, do they call them motherlands because America is the fatherland who has kids from all of them? Facts. I love wordplay. Hope y'all enjoyed that. Yeah, so my mother came here, family back at home, and my mother became an orphan at 13 years old. We didn't hear from the family back home until she was a grown adult with 4 kids in her 30s. I'm still learning about cousins and uncles I have, and I'm like, wow, so family tree is wild. All right, I'm gonna jump into some more series. I got 2 more for y'all. Elevate. This was a short one. I was in a writing workshop with Anthony McPherson, one of my favorite poets, about ekphrastic poetry. So we did like a virtual walk around a museum, gallery walk virtually. And we chose one of the images that was shown to write an ekphrastic poem about. Ekphrastic poetry, for those who don't know, is poetry inspired by a visual art. So you see something visually, whether it's a sculpture, a painting, a picture, and then you write poetry based off of it. So there was this t-shirt, it was a black shirt, sleeveless, and it said, "This ain't your mama's civil rights movement." And so I wrote after that, sleeveless black shirt. I wonder if the deodorant scent survived. How many miles of hugs this shirt has. How many friends pulled into the chest. How many dried tears on the shoulders. I wonder if a fistful yanked this shirt once. Maybe uniform, maybe an angry, scared parent. How many times this shirt was or was not intentionally worn. Stop worrying about where the sleeves went. Worry if the body survived like the shirt did. I wonder how the cotton feels. I wonder how the cotton feels. Being hung and watched, parts ripped away. I wonder who sold this shirt and if they were able to send their kids to college with the profit. Yeah, that's something I want to continue working on now that I look at it. Again, I've been writing and like not sharing it all. So thank you again, Rebel Poet, for this invitation. I'll close out with this one. Interesting enough, I started writing poetry in 2013, and the very first poem I ever wrote was while doing dishes. And I just never wrote it. I memorized it and then wrote it afterwards while doing dishes. So recently, 2020, I was doing dishes and a poem came to me. And I just thought it was interesting, to connect. I've never did that since 2013. So to do it again in 2020, I was like, wow, let's write this down. So I did this while doing dishes. Sometimes we go through experiences and it takes us months to write about it. So this was one of those moments where it was like 4 months later, let me write about this. Trigger warning, content warning, just a suicide attempt. So I hope y'all enjoy. I would rather be a fool who's stuck in the hood than to be wise finding a way out. Out of those who are wise, only a few make it. The others go insane. My brother is wise. He is afraid of heights, yet he challenges the rooftop. My brother is a gambler. He bets he can reach the ground before I reach the stairs. The stars are demanding. My brother lays down on the roof's bedrock, a bed he did not make for himself. The systems, the traditions, the culture teaches us how boy becomes man with money, with cars, not living in his mother's house. And this is what makes us wise. I want to get out the hood becomes a mantra. And we praise those who have made it out the way we praise God, jumping high with our hands up as if God is reachable. And God, he is silent when we need him most. Like celebrities who've made it out the hood are silent when we need them the most. My brother is in an ambulance, not injured, physically. He never speaks to me or mom or any family, but tonight the EMS worker is now a therapist. I've never witnessed a rose bloom so wide. He opens up. I've heard that my brother and I are identical. I never saw the resemblance until now. In the evaluation room, we're watching a talk show on TV. My brother is thinking of writing a letter to Oprah to get us some money. My brother is a gambler. That tells me he is fine, which really means he is mentally stable enough for the doctor to send us home. My siblings and I always joke about who's making money or who's helping mom with rent or who has the best clothes, like, the system that has us both stuck is being nice to me. I tell my family, no more jokes about money. No more jokes about who is sinking in the quicksand faster. This becomes one step closer, not to making it out the hood, but making us live longer. Word. Thank you so much for the space. Follow me on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. It's all the same. Poet Gamer with 2 R's at the end. Thank you so much, Rebel Poet, again for the invitation.
Yes, brother. Thank you. Thank you for coming through. Everybody give it up for Sergio Jimenez. Dope, dope, dope. Really enjoyed that. So before I bring my next feature, mi gente, I wanted to bring Sergio up because he said that he had to put his little one to bed. And being that, you know, I've been there, man. You know, I know how it is. You know, when you got a little one, he's like right there. But before I bring up our next feature, I want to bring the poet laureate of the Títere Poets. He's shaking his head right now.
I co-signed that, by the way.
Yeah, facts, big facts.
I didn't get a vote, but I approve.
There you go. See, it's unanimous, papi. So now you gotta do your thing. Next to the virtual stage, Isa Guzman.
Well, hello. I almost thought you would just skip me. You broke my heart for a second. I was like, oh my God, you're skipping the poet laureate of the Títere Poets? How dare you? I could shut this.
How am I gonna skip you? See,
you see how fast he turned and he accepts the title.
Don't get jealous, T-Bird. Okay.
So anyhow,
T-Bird, tú eres mío.
Primeramente, ustedes dos son unos cabrones y Isa, tú eres mío.
So, I just wanted to recite this piece, given that this month is Puerto Rican Heritage Month, and last week was Trans Awareness Week, and yesterday was Trans Remembrance Day. And I'm trans, so like I've just started. It's been a long experience for me, and I am sitting on the shoulders of a lot of pain, I guess I would say. A lot of people have suffered a lot for me to be here today, and I wanted to give it up a tribute poem for one of them. This is part of my night poem series, of which I pay tribute to various peoples who have suffered from some sort of social violence, and have unfortunately passed away from it. This night poem is for Venus Extravaganza. If you've watched Paris is Burning, then you know Venus Extravaganza. Night for Venus Extravaganza. Venus Extravaganza, 1965 to 1988. Did not die of old age, surrounded by her chosen family, nor on stage instruct motion, but was strangled at 23 by an unknown John, will be choked and stuffed under a bed December 21st, and another hustle gone wrong by an unknown John, in a sleazy motel slinging love and thinking about her next dress, how much for her next meal, when will the next gig be, where was the last place she slept, and is right now choked, happening yesterday, happened tomorrow, will happen now, under the city and above the city, at the Duchess Hotel in New York, Baltimore, Humacao, Chihuahua City, Alabama, Texas, Sioux Falls, Park de la Ciudadela, New Orleans, Ithaca, San Antonio, Charlotte, Bushwick, Colorado, Times Square, Point Breeze, Column, Miami, Azlaco, Taubaja, above which the sky swings down a runway of song, which sings, walk with me into heaven, or follow me home, to Hector, and Angie, and Lorena, and Sonia, and Amanda, and Brandon, and Latasha, and Sweet Maria, y Agnes, y Yampi, y Serena, y Leila, y Alexa, and the countless of other trans women and men of whom the night has become their name. And the night grows thicker with every new name, so thick one could tailor an infinity of suits, an infinity of dresses. I swear to wear each one of them and sing myself into our truths. Thank you.
Yes. Give it up, everybody. Isa Guzman. Awesome, awesome. So I would like to bring up our second and final feature for the evening. I hope you're ready because she brings it. Leah V is a New York-based performance poet, event host, spoken word workshop specialista, and curator. Rooted from the Bronx, New York. Building, Leah's content offers a nostalgic reflection upon the upbringing, upon her upbringing as an exploration of cultural identity, mental health, and the vast emotional spectrum of a woman in her 20s. Leah V held a 2-year residency in Inspire Word. Shout out to Inspire Word. The 10-year running open mic series dedicated to live performance art throughout New York City. Most notably, she has headlined for shows at the infamous Triad Theater and recently received the Missouri Audio Prize for the recording of her piece entitled Doncellas. Congratulations, everybody. Welcome to the virtual stage. Up next, Leah V.
Hello, hello, hello. How do I sound? Is this all good? All right, all right. Thank you so much, Rebel Poet, for having me. Thank you for everybody who has already performed thus far and will perform the rest of the evening. As somebody was going up before, and I thought to myself, man, I can't believe I've never been a part of this. So as difficult as the last few months have been for everybody, I think these virtual shows kind of bring people together that you might not have normally seen. I also host a virtual show on Friday nights, Virtual Voices, but hopefully you guys will give me a follow and
leave that info where we could check it out on the link, please.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I will for sure. My Facebook is Leah Vanessa. All right, so that was for Violeta. Okay, I am going to go ahead and get right into it. I am notorious for having extremely long poems. And so I'm gonna do 2 of those for you. The first one I'm gonna do, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna go down and then we're gonna go back up, all right? So we're gonna talk about COVID and some police brutality and some other things, including the fact that I unfortunately lost my father to COVID in April. So when New York was particularly bad, my very, very healthy father got sick, and then less than a month later, he was gone. So it was the nightmare that everybody's been trying to prevent, is exactly what happened to me before wearing a mask was even a thing. So it's obviously been quite a year, quite a few months, and I wrote this poem in June following the death of George Floyd. And I was just very angry for a lot of reasons at the world, at the government, and I just had to get it out. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this for you. This piece is called O2. All right, just give me a second here. Let's talk about components. Let's talk about elements of this earth we encompass. Let's talk about universal understanding and universal activity and universal laws. Let's talk about breath. Let's talk about breath. Let's talk about the breath it takes for me to fuck up this writing block caused by refusal to accept the reality that is poppies who pass away, through, at the hands of others, at the hands of suffocation of all sorts. Let's talk about air. Let's talk about a refusal to exhale these words because ink provides an eternity that I am unprepared to accept. I mean, let's talk about breath. Let's talk about the breath I need to get through, to push through the truth of living amid the epicenter of a failed state. Let's spitball these words to the general public. Let's talk about the space needed between those words in order to receive the oxygen necessary to explain ourselves. So let's talk about breath. Let's talk about the short breaths that my father took while we naively thought he'd be able to survive the swallow that is COVID at the crib. Let's talk about how desperate we were to believe his breath would get through, would push through. I mean, this was Superman, super healthy, super active. Let's talk about air. Let's talk about acute respiratory distress and how it took my father's breath. Let's talk about the vent. Let's talk about the tubes placed down his throat. No. Let's talk about the breath he took to speak to me 4 weeks prior to him being hooked onto an electronic source of the element that surrounds us. Let's talk about how just 4 weeks prior he inhaled, laughed, and called me his little girl. Let's talk about how between breaths before he entered the ambulance, never to be heard from me again, he said, "I love you." And I took that breath and I held it in from too far away. Let's talk about how we could not be near his breath before he left. I could not hear his breath before he left. I wouldn't wish this distant death upon my arch nemesis. So let's talk about breath. Let's talk about the odor that I'm sure exits the mouth of 45 as he spits his breath. Let's talk about his lack of breath and his lack of stench and the statistics that say had he taken that breath 7 days prior to lockdown and announced lockdown when everybody else told him to fucking lockdown, when other countries proved that we needed PPE and a fucking lockdown. Let's talk about breath. Let's talk about the thousands of bodies that statistics say would still breathe today had he taken that breath and for once in his life chose to use it for the good of humanity. Let's talk about breath, not about politics, but shit, it's one and the same in this day and age. I mean, my father was a father. He changed my world, so he changed the world. George Floyd was a father. He was Gianna's father, and he changed her world, so he changed the world, and his breath was taken too. So let's talk about breath. No. Let's talk about suffocation, because the ICU doctor told us that COVID attacked my father's lungs, causing him suffocation. Let's talk about suffocation. Let's talk about the 20 days that my father was in the hospital and how my mother couldn't understand him because his body could not function without air being pumped into his throat. Let's talk about the doctors who worked tirelessly to get that oxygen into his throat as pasty-ass Confederate people protested pandemic breath without masks. Let's talk about the nurses who took breaths through their masks and tears. Let's talk about how I have to believe they did everything they could to keep him from suffocating alone, to keep his big brown body from eventually choking on its own entity. Let's talk about saving breath. Let's talk about suffocation. Let's talk about a knee on the neck causing suffocation. Let's talk about chemicals in canisters causing suffocation. Let's talk about the breath that my man, my beautiful Black man, takes when he gets pulled over by any officer. Let's talk about using that last breath to call out for your mama like George Floyd called out for his mama, like I called out for my mama when my father left the universe. Let's talk about the doctors who did everything they could to save my father from suffocating and the officers who kept George Floyd suffocating. Let's talk about universal loss. Let's talk about breath. Let's talk about the breath it takes to cry out for your father while the world continues to lose individuals by the thousands. Let's talk about mourning without thousands or any human hugs. Let's talk about grief without touch. Let's talk about configuring virtual funerals in the edge of Corona. Let's talk about watching your mother make call after call to handle the logistics of death and its ties to the government when she should only have to make space for her own breath. And let's talk about Big Floyd's family having to handle those calls times a million because our system creates the necessity that is broadcasting brutal, homicidal deaths. So let's talk about breath. Let's talk about universal loss. My father was many things, including an advocate, an activist, and he lived a life of service. He wanted more from this world. He demanded more for this world, and his breath was taken before his time. The what ifs could eat up all of my oxygen, but I'm breathing through to this stage of acceptance, and my inhales are reserved for that energy alone. I need to find my peace. But how can oxygen allow peace when fathers continue to be taken? How can oxygen allow peace when batons are beaten against bodies demanding more from this world? How can oxygen allow peace when an autocrat is on the rise in the middle of last resort rebellion? How can oxygen allow peace when I didn't get to say goodbye? How can oxygen allow peace when Gianna didn't get to say goodbye? How can oxygen allow peace while 45's army of blues and suits alongside incompetence may have caused the death of my father, the death of Gianna's father, the death of countless fathers and daughters and brothers and mothers and sisters and goddamn in through the nose, out through the mouth, breathing American people. So let's not talk about breath. Let's just listen to the movement instead. Rest in peace to my father, my hero, Waldemar Gonzalez. Rest in peace, George Floyd, and all of the lives lost to police brutality. Black Lives Matter. So that was that. Thank you. Oh, I got a whole standing ovation over there with the T on. I love it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna go ahead and get right into the next one. We're gonna have a little more positivity here. So that piece that was mentioned in the bio before, Doncellas, is my favorite. I call it a fan favorite. Everybody loves it. It's a real feel good piece. And so I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. All right. This one's dedicated to, I don't want to say the Gonzalez woman, I want to say all women, but all families of all kinds. All right. This is Don Sayas. All of the maids in Manhattan, Siamese twin together and robotically moving in unison, doncellas like rockets kicking dust and dead socks up. All of those merry maids on the move, ducking and weaving through recently renovated linoleums. All those thick tongues so they stay silent unless they're back on the block ladies, the ones in plain sight who hide from ridiculous rights. All them fuck a Mr. Cleaner, this be Miss Conspicuous, spotless goddess, those warriors never stamped who hardly stand a chance, the women sealed in sacrifice in order to well-round our existence, I swear, only they compare. You put my mother, my sister, and me in an untouched library, laced with lice, traces of mice, soiled ties, stained dye, oversized rust hidden in undersized pus. The whole room sus, just watch as we navigate that war. Watch the divinity of Fabuloso all over crooks and crevices, miraculous miracles as unmesses. Watch the gleam team reign supreme on the pledge floor scream. Watch as Tito Puente moves mommy into magician mode as she decodes furniture, creates centerpieces of broken wreaths, grandiose displays and paper clips of papers dipped and scraps of used notebooks. And watch as she arranges too many instruments she knows will pivot in palms as she salsas all over my father, all over Willie Colon. She never misses a beat. Suddenly the most convoluted space makes neat. She sees things crowd and creates crowns, puts it down with the cluster. Now watch as we shift to my sister as she musters all things suddenly luster as she thrusts dust into bluster. She's got oil marinating. She's spitting Biggie while cooking, washing clothes while hooking pots to their places, making space in all napes. And Amy serenades me as I move mountains to mop tops. We're all panting, creating backdrops, recalling articles, debating chronicles of when we had less, when it was buses and frozen meals because mommy worked overtime because Aitza made 2 more humankinds. We've been trained as caregivers, soldiers of servitude. I swear my mother will suggest the shirt off her back after forcing upon you a baked goods attack. I've seen my sister take out the last of what she had, place it on a plate and yell, "Eat it," in my face. Now this keeping of house, it makes me reflect. It makes me depict my ancestors, calloused, corroded, singing sweetness, cutting sweet sticks along the island all the same. Now, when they were colonized by Spain, followed by good old American Joe, when the sand between their toes felt less free than it had before, when they struggled with the sounds of uncertain, closed curtain, illogical Ingles, when they began to change the way they dressed, when they didn't realize as citizens they remained oppressed, when they were sexualized and used, labeled stupid yet pursued, when San Juan became the Bronx, when the back door became the front, did they ever imagine? Did they ever think it could be our floors we scrubbed, our very own tiles rubbing past the falsified foreign identity of Mrs. Liberty wearing Uggs past that D-train toward us? We hold magic. Anything you can do, we can do bleeding. Anything you can do, we can do beating eggs for entire elaborate guest lists of our own meetings. The men make space for us in our era. And nuestra familia, the patriarchy moves aside that wage gap and cares for us even when we can't move aside our pride to ask. My father worships the woman he wed. They act as a unit so fluid that I've learned to not tell one without expecting the other to adjust the cover as me directly. The roles we hold reek of respect. We never neglect the needs of one another, and we know we're stronger together than alone because fighting white America as a whole been the goal. Since 18, we took it to the polls. And we took it to the other poles, the ones that hold palms as you walk upstairs. Mira, Leah, don't forget that spot over there, my mother reminds me. We've been cleaning. It's in our blood to scrub. They call me a spick and I scrub that. Compared me to Sofia Vergara and I scrub that. Listen, my tongue contains multitudes. My linguistic skill is overused. I does that. Gonzalez woman hit you with the English, Spanish, Spanglish, Latin root, all while hovering over hot food. We bounce back, we carry, we cater, we clean, we never concede, and we attack eloquently. So it's best you bless yourself by letting us out of that box before we break out. We got numbers, largest growing population in New York City. So build your walls, and our Lysol disinfectant wipes will ruin by rubbing you off, and then we'll walk past collegiate aisles, all smiles and educated and dedicated to our people. But what do I know? I'm just a New Eurekan chick on all fours on the floor, answering my Saint Mother's call, not being able to recall the last time I got that corner of the hallway. We hold magic. We stem from soil. My mother, the sun, and my sister, the water. So watch me make corruption weep. Watch as I seep into society. Watch as I blossom into my ancestors' wildest dreams. Que bonita bandera. We sing as we clean, clean, clean. Thanks, everybody. That's my time.
Yes. Give it up for Leah B.
Thank you. I'm going to put all my information in this little
Yes,
chat here.
please. Do you see, everybody, why she's so dope?
I assign that 5 webas out of 5.
Absolutely, absolutely. Listen, so you know, my condolences to you and the family. I wanna really thank you for allowing yourself to be vulnerable, for sharing your work. And I salute you, I commend you, because you know, those pieces are not easy, you know, and you know, I lost a brother a couple years back before COVID, and it's still tough for me to write about it, you know. So definitely shout outs to you, and many blessings to you and the family. Thank you for coming through. Amazing, amazing. Everybody give it up for Leah B. So mi gente, it is 8:32. We still got a couple minutes. If anybody wants to, you know, has another piece, has something they would like to share, something that compelled them, let me know. Mario, Señor Morales Pagan, talk to me.
What's going on, mi gente? Leah, I lost my father last August, so I was in tears, and I know some of the títeres lost family also during COVID. So when a poet can make me cry, yeah, my sister, thank you.
All my love to you, to anybody. I mean, you know, I'm touched that it moved anybody enough to cry, but I don't want y'all to cry.
No, but poetry is supposed to move us, right? It's supposed to make us laugh. Yeah. It's supposed to make us angry. It's supposed to make us move, right? And sometimes poetry makes us cry, right? Because it touches all these different emotions. I know that I was observing the room, and I saw my brother D-Bird, you know, and you know, I love him very much, and I know that we've gone through some stuff, and we've all been impacted so deeply by the last couple of months dealing with this. So it's, you know, it's difficult, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for that piece. That was freaking amazing, you know, and to honor our brothers and sisters in the community who have, you know, died at the hands of police brutality, and the way that you put that together was like, you know, amazing. So thank you.
Also, don't talk about that don't cry shit. Don't make me get Sauda. Don't make me get her.
Yeah.
Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it.
That's true.
We need to cry, especially in these spaces.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's bad enough to have a loss.
Yep.
Something that could have been prevented. It's another thing to have to be in that loss through a screen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was so fucking moved by that piece, Leia. Like, I still don't understand the sound of trying to hug someone who is grieving but is not there.
Mm.
I grieved, my mother grieved her brother's loss. She grieved him on the other side of a screen.
Mm-hmm.
And I could not hug her because I too was on the other side of a screen. So we need some outlet for that shit.
Yeah.
Because it's not just the loss, it's the difficulty being able to actually mourn that loss.
Yeah.
That becomes
It's
painful.
tough with the big families too. You know, we roll in numbers. So to be alone, all of us at that time, and I'm sure your family as well, you know. And I don't mean to go with the stereotype, but it's just true. We roll in numbers.
What stereotype?
Señor Mario, dale, dale, zumba. Zumba, zumba.
All right. So in honor of our loved ones, because you know there's a side to when we lose someone. You know, I saw a video today where Colbert asked Keanu Reeves, what do you think happens when our loved ones die? You know, like where do they go? What happens? And Keanu said, I think what happens is that the people who loved us will miss us. And I was really moved by that. So yeah, I'm just gonna jump on here. This is called Ire, which is means in the presence of God. How exhausting to be a living casket, a puddle of pena. Here, sage, velas, y prayers shoot CeeLo on buff hospital floors. El Reverendo Pedro rolls trips for your salvation to get you through the gate where Abuela will meet you con un cafecito bien cabrón to receive you in the land of your ancestors. Melancholia reigns on you. Yo, you remember the 5 pesos you borrowed from the willow tree on Loisaida para la cura? That time we cried at your birthday. It smelled like botanica. The grown-ups giggled, said El Egua ate all the piñata candy. Navidad when we came to your house to play Nintendo, but your tío sold it for manteca. La Cubana who lived on the 3rd floor, the one we fell in love with, whose husband dressed in black and blues porque Iris Chacon had nothing on her. Your favorite song, Bobby Capó, could make you dream of La Isla. When we burned down Abuelo's lemon tree, we swore never to speak of it. The neighbor's bicicleta you borrowed sin permission porque Abuela whooped your ass porque aquí no se crían ladrones. We got smacked on Mavi. El Carnaval en Ponce, Summers in Nueva York, a drumming circle in Orchard, Lake Welch, La Parada screaming, Yo soy Boricua! You love children, but they didn't want any. La Lupe, Hector, Carlos, Amen. Your last birthday, I told you not to inhale. The antiseptic bland chicken brings you back to Bendito. Family, friends, well-wishers, a biography of you. They speak of your good name. Tears cling to staying a little longer, hoping for the miracle they saw in La Telenovela, where everything was fine at the end. They go to church more than they have in years. Ruegan to anyone who would listen, blister thumb and pointer, rotating beads, di que tu a Virgen, like candles on the block. A collage of you stands on 3rd Avenue. The clarimancer rolls, the bones clack, rattle, clatter, boom, 4, 5, 6, because this is how you get through el portón. Your body gives up the ghost. No se despide as you begin to walk. Ire. Thank you.
Yes, give it up for el señor Mario Jose Pagan. So, mi gente, if you are here, your comunidad, if you're here, your collective, let's definitely come together again. It's crazy to think that, you know, this year's almost over. And it's been a tough one, you know. We are hopeful for what this next year will bring, but you know, we say we're community, we need to start acting like it. I think that we need to change our habits. We need to centralize our dollars. And you know, just check up on people. You know what I'm saying? I think that's important. Because as D Bird said, you know, nobody should be going through grief by themselves. You know, I know a lot of times I go through it, especially the seasonal depression, because I have no family close to me. You know, and it's tough. But I would like to thank each and every one of you for coming through this evening. I am your host,
Also, your family.
Rebel Poet Coreano. ¿Cómo fue?
I said you're
Nathan?
our host, but also you're our family.
Yes, absolutely.
Also, fuck 2020. Que se vaya, que se vaya, que se vaya de mi vida.
Ya estoy cansado de Chacho. Don't even, I don't even want to hear his name. Ya va el carajo. Bueno, mi gente, thank you for coming through. Blessings and rebeldía.